Hi everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome to Week in Nintendo. Every Saturday I like to go back through the past week's biggest headlines so you can get all caught up on all things Nintendo. If you're new here and you like these weekly news rundowns, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on everything happening with the channel. And with all that out of the way, let's go through this week's Nintendo news. Monday, Nintendo announced that a new Turf War for Splatoon 2 would be coming to North America on July 18th. The upcoming tournament allows teams to compete for top spot, which will reward each team member with 2,500 My Nintendo Gold points. So this sounds like a great excuse to get the squad back together and dust off those splat rollers. Registration for the upcoming tournament ends at 10 a.m. PST on July 18th. Monday, we also heard that Metroid Prime 4 development studio Retro had hired Call of Duty Black Ops veteran Bat Nandakumar, a longtime employee of Activision who helped to create the theater mode in the original Black Ops. Retro continues to hire for the project after Nintendo decided to restart development of Metroid Prime 4 entirely in early 2019, so it's always nice to see some movement happening around Metroid Prime 4, but at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being one of the last major releases for the Switch, or even perhaps a game that launches alongside whatever Nintendo's follow-up to the Switch ends up being. Again on Monday, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate 8.0.0 update was released, bringing over Min Min from ARMS, as well as an incredibly long list of fighter tweaks and buffs. And we talked quite a bit about Min Min last week, so if you'd like more of my thoughts there, you can go ahead and check out last week's episode. And I'll also leave a link down in the description to the entire changelog if you'd like to dig through that yourself. And let me know down in the comments if you've tried out Min Min in Smash, how you're liking her as a fighter so far. Tuesday, we learned from Video Games Chronicle that Nintendo still sees Nintendo Directs as an effective way to communicate the company's marketing message, but that they would be open to adjusting their approach if needed in the future. And I guess the reason this would get called into question is the fact that Nintendo skipped their usual June Direct following the cancellation of E3 2020. And I certainly hope that Nintendo keeps up Directs for the foreseeable future, and that we don't have to wait all that long for the next one, although the article does go into further detail about rumors of the next Direct not happening until possibly August or September of this year. Again on Tuesday, in an interview with Game Informer, Nintendo producer Kensuke Tanabe discussed further details of Nintendo's latest entry in the Paper Mario series, Paper Mario: The Origami King. Some details to note about changes to the upcoming game include the story no longer being chapter-focused. Instead, players can travel from region to region in an open-world setup. With these larger maps to explore, players can traverse the sprawling areas with new forms of transportation, including a boot-shaped car, a boat, as well as a plane. And then, of course, we have the new ring-based battle system, an idea that apparently came to Tanabe while in the shower thinking of a Rubik's Cube. I'll leave a link to the article down below. There are some beautiful new screenshots, and I have to say, my cautious optimism for the title is giving in to genuine hype, as the only thing the game has going against it is that it's really the only major summer title for the Switch that we know of. Tuesday, we also got the Nintendo Switch release date trailer for Superliminal, an incredibly unique looking first-person puzzle game that plays on perspective in mind-bending ways. Previously released for Windows in late 2019, Superliminal will be heading to PS4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch on July 7th. More Tuesday news. In a financial Q&A with investors, we finally heard from Nintendo regarding the ongoing issue of JoyCon Drift, with an apology coming directly from Nintendo president Shuntaro Furukawa. And although this is a big deal for Nintendo to publicly acknowledge the issue, because it's now part of a class action lawsuit, Nintendo is unable to respond to any specific actions they'll be taking. And it's still tough to get a feel for exactly how widespread the issue of JoyCon Drift is. If you're at all familiar with my Instagram page, you probably already know that I have nearly every Joy-Con colorway there is, as well as a few custom ones. And I've only experienced drift once, and it actually happened when I picked up my V2 Better Battery Life Switch, and after about a month of use, my left Joy-Con started acting up, and I had to send it in, but I was able to get it repaired for free and got it back within a week, and that's been it. But I've also heard plenty of stories from other people who seem to experience the issue at a much higher rate, so hopefully Nintendo learns from this apparent manufacturing defect and improves the design of their next iteration of detachable controllers. And in our last bit of Tuesday news, Trails of Cold Steel 3 was released on the Nintendo Switch, the third installment in Nihon Falcom's turn-based JRPG series. I'm really excited to dive into this game after I catch myself up a bit with its incredibly deep lore, and I just did a little unboxing for the beautiful Thor's Academy Special Edition, edition, so I'll leave a link to that down in the description and at the end of the video as well. Wednesday, we got our first real look at the Switch version of Crysis Remastered, a remaster of the 2007 shooter that was scheduled to hit PS4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch on July 23rd. And while the Switch screenshots looked pretty good to me, after a leaked trailer of the upcoming remaster popped up online, fans of the series voiced criticism that the game appeared mostly unchanged from its original release, some likening it to running on PC with the lowest settings. And this bit of backlash caused Crytek to delay the release of the game by a few weeks to get the polish of the remaster up to the fans' standards. So while it's a bummer to have to wait a bit longer, I always appreciate when developers are listening to the fans. Thursday, Animal Crossing Summer Update Wave 1 was released, allowing players to swim along the shore of their island and dive for new sea creatures that can be donated to the museum. Pascal also makes an appearance, letting you trade scallops for new DIY recipes, along with Gulliver now washing up on shore wearing a pirate's uniform. We can also expect another upcoming summer update sometime in August that seems to hint at something to do with fireworks. Friday, following a panel at GameLab Live 2020, Doom Eternal developers gave some updates on the Switch version of the game, which is apparently coming soon, and players should expect the Switch port to be every bit as good as Doom 2016. Panic Button will be handling the port of Doom Eternal as well, so I'm willing to take them at their word, as Doom 2016 still stands as one of the most impressive current-gen ports on the Switch. So even though we didn't get an exact date, it sounds like Switch owners won't have to wait too much longer to get their hands on the latest ripping and tearing adventure through hell. And that does it for this week's Nintendo news, but before we go, it's time for 20 years ago today, where we take a look back at what was happening with Nintendo 20 years ago this week. This week we're talking about the follow-up to Genki's favorably received Nintendo 64 racing title Multi-Racing Championship, Rally Challenge 2000. Released for the Nintendo 64 in the States on June 30th, 2000, Rally Challenge had trouble reaching the same critical heights as its predecessor due to uninspired track designs, overuse of fog effects and motion blur, and poor controls. IGN's Mark Nix scored the game with a 6 and said, "Yeah, maybe there was a reason why South Peak Interactive took the word championship out of this game's title. It's not miserable by any stretch. The bad fogging can be worked around, the sad audio can be drowned out without missing anything, and the lacking tracks are at least true to the sport. But the game can't rise above mediocrity at any attempt. Against all other racers on the system, this game has little new to offer and less still besting over the system's champs." So another bit of a dud coming to the Nintendo 64 in the year 2000, but I promise there are still some quality titles ahead as we move into 2001. And if you stuck around through all that and like what you saw, please consider liking and subscribing. And until next week, have a great weekend, play some video games, happy 4th, and I'll see you next time.